Wheeler Yuta was the best in this angle because Pac is restraining him and Yuta is watching Dad being destroyed. Dude, Yuta was so amazing. This might have been my favorite thing Yuta has done. Okay, I thought he was so awesome here. Kill Switch appears in the ring and nails Danielson, and we get this moment of Kill Switch and Jack Perry temporarily reunited. And Christian Cage's music plays, and out come the patriarchy with the contract. And as Cage is approaching the ring, John Moxley, in his Bryan Danielson t-shirt, walks in front of the ring to block Cage from entering. And he is joined by Wheeler Yuta and the returning Claudio Castagnoli. And they all stand together along with Pac, who is with them. And we get, for the first time, the united front here of the BCC all on screen together with the original members, minus one particular WWE behind-the-scenes contributor. And Moxley scares off the patriarchy, who decide they are not going to be cashing in. And Moxley enters the ring. He hugs Bryan Danielson and gives him a kiss. And I love the fact that they did the hug and the kiss because I think everyone knew what was coming. This was the prelude to the breakup.
The moment you felt the linger of them not cutting to the back and seeing here, like you knew there was an angle.
And the Danielson smile, like he's just smiling, like, oh, they're all back together. This is great.
You knew this was the end.
Yeah, I liked it because it was like, you know what was coming, but you got to anticipate it. And as they pose together, Claudio nails him with an uppercut, and Danielson doesn't even sell it. He goes down to his ass and he is shocked. He just can't believe it. It was such a different way to do this.
I don't mind this at all because I think sometimes shock.
Look at this guy in the front row. He had the same exact reaction.
Shock overwhelms your pain. In my mind, okay? To me, shock would overwhelm my pain receptors so that I wouldn't even have time to react to the pain that I'm feeling because I'm so shocked that one of my best friends has just suddenly attacked me.
I thought this, I really liked this. I just thought it was a way better way to do it. But then what I did not expect is John Moxley to take us back to 1989, and he puts the plastic bag over Bryan Danielson's head and starts suffocating him in the plastic bag. And dude, Wheeler Yuta was the best in this angle because Pac is restraining him and Yuta is watching Dad being destroyed. Dude, Yuta was so amazing. This might have been my favorite thing Yuta has done. Okay, I thought he was so awesome here. And the one thing is, the crowd starts chanting, "This is murder," and it's just one of those moments where it's like, you can, and I'll get into a bit of this in the next match we're going to get to. Is that, man, you can do these heavy heat angles, but it's like a huge part of your audience today. It's like they are here for the entertainment and they are watching a show and they're going to have fun with this stuff. And that chant, I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying that's the reality of things, that in another era, this crowd would have been rioting in just disgust that their favorite babyface was attacked like this. And in this modern era, and this is something you can't go back in time to, it's let's have a cute chant for this really heavy duty angle.
I don't think it necessarily means that they don't enjoy the angle, enjoy what they're seeing, but maybe it does mean that they're not shocked or they don't truly believe that they are witnessing somebody, be killed here in front of them like they might have been in the past. And
well, in the next match, we're going to get to it where they were actually trying to kill each other.
I just don't know if that's even something you can mitigate these days. We all know we're watching the show and we're here to enjoy the show. We will pay money to watch the show, but to actually get us to suspend our disbelief that somebody is actually getting killed in front of our eyes, I don't think that's happening again. I will say, I think what did take away my immersion a little bit was how long the entire ringside personnel just kind of let this go on. It's one thing to have a house burning far away on video. You can't control that. But when a man is putting another putting a bag over another man's head, and both of them are your employees, and you have security guards ringside. Like, for like
where were the guys with the riot gear with Jack Perry? They should have like had tasers or something.
Oh, they were private security. They were yeah, they weren't paid. But in my mind, I think at the very least, it would have been nice to have the announcers show enough concern that they would have walked out. And I think a perfect moment.
Oh, dude, you can't ignore Jim Ross was like ready to call the police.
Jim Ross was the best person to call these last two
Jim
matches.
Ross was amazing.
Okay?
He was the exception of like, he was not chanting "this is murder." This guy was ready to kill.
Well, Jim Ross,
I thought Jim Ross was amazing here.
Well, why did Jim Ross step up and do something about it? Okay,
what was Jim Ross going to do to John Moxley?
Come on, listen, the man's he's recovered enough. Okay, let's get him. No, I was going to say the perfect spot for that would have been if Nigel got up and stopped it. Like, even this was too much for him, and he had to save Bryan from being killed.
If you had done the match with Danielson and that feud was in the rear view, that's a great like full circle moment for Nigel and Danielson. But I think you have to get like, you can't do that now before
the match he's doing with Nigel is not going to be based on a grudge. It's going to be based on sentimentality. At least
this man hates it. He hates him.
Yeah, but we all know that the warm and fuzzies are going to be there for that one. Anyway, well, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Ross is disgusted. He says, "This is not good pro wrestling to me. It's hideous. It's dangerous." And in my favorite line, who would incriminate themselves with a goddamn plastic bag? And for like everyone, I'm sure is at least now familiar with the angle, but this was famously done back in 1989. This was after the Great American Bash, where Ric Flair had come back after that pile driver attack by Terry Funk to beat him at the Bash that year. And then to get to the I Quit match, they shot this angle at the Clash of the Champions shortly after the Bash, almost to the day of this is almost the anniversary of this, and choked him or suffocated him with this bag. And this was such a controversial angle that they had to go on TV with Terry Funk to apologize because of the complaints they got for this angle. And this did lead to the I Quit match in November that year in New York. And as you may have seen as well, when Eddie Kingston was interviewed by The Ringer, he had stated he has pitched this multiple times to do this angle, and every time Tony Khan said no. And afterward, to this point, AEW tweeted out, "Due to the graphic nature of the attack on Bryan Danielson, we will not be sharing the footage. AEW does not condone such actions." And therefore, your only way that you are going to see this is by watching this pay-per-view, because they are not going to show this on TV. Not because I don't think they are allowed to, but I think this just adds to the severity of the angle to make it really serious, which I like the fact they went to this extreme of how heinous this was. But it was really tough to hear just the shock and disgust at this as we're getting ready for the angle, the match coming out of an arson on Wednesday.
I like the attention to detail. Okay, essentially, that a tweet like that is sort of the parental advisory sticker on a rap CD, and just kind of makes you that much more curious. Listen, it was a really impactful angle. Okay, if you're gonna break the BCC up, or at least split Bryan from the BCC, I think you needed something big like this. I think Moxley did a good job of sort of weaving the tweener angle for the past 2 weeks, and finally giving us this confirmation that yes, he is now a bad guy, and giving us a confirmation in a big way. There's just something so incredibly visceral and awful about seeing somebody getting suffocated. It's very uncomfortable, and I would say if that was their intent, they achieved that here. And the divisions that we now have within this new BCC, I find very interesting. So we got Marina Shafir, Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Pac. Now, what I also loved about it was that they never attacked Yuta. They simply held him back, and then they left him there, as if to say,
you have a choice.
Yeah, this is business, little boy. Let mom and dad deal with this. You're just going to sit in the corner, and then we'll kind of sort this out later. It kind of calls to a pretty sophisticated story that plans. I hope that they have for Wheeler Yuta coming out of this, which I'm excited for. The decision to make Claudio and Pac heels coming out of this, Pac especially coming out of the Ospreay match, I do kind of question, because I feel like he's like just started to gain so much momentum as a babyface that there's a bit more potential in it. But to turn him into a heel right away, let's see what they do with it. So we got some big matches for Bryan coming up. We got Bryan versus Mox, obviously. Bryan versus Claudio, Bryan versus Pac you could do. So
I think you got to do all these guys. Like, you have to do the BCC members at least. Like, Moxley should be the big one. My other question to you is, could you see like Jack Perry like slated into this group just based off that interaction they did with him and Moxley? Like, was that done for no reason?
What interact was there? Oh, Perry. Okay, interesting. Yeah, but for him to go from the Elite to like a heel BCC kind of feels strange.
Like, doesn't this group kind of make the Elite kind of unnecessary?
Not necessarily. Like, I think the Elite are more like your comedic, like, type of annoying bratty heels, whereas
Great.
This is your, yeah, like we can argue about whether or not the company needs that, but the BCC are your serious heels. They're the ones that'll put a bag over your head. All right. More interesting, I think, to ask is where Darby Allin stands in all of this. Mox has been calling Darby Allin out. Not for a second do I think Darby is going to turn heel, because I just think that guy is going to be a babyface for quite a while. So can we expect him to side with Yuta and Bryan in whatever, they're doing?
And they could do something. They could take Darby out so he can't get his title shot. I mean, there's many options of what you can do there. I really like this angle, and importantly, they have a lot of different directions coming out of this as well.
Something tells me I don't think Bryan brought his kids to this one.
No, probably not. I don't know if they would have been having the time of their life ringside for this one.
Yeah.
If you like this video, consider joining our Patreon, the Post Wrestling Cafe. Multiple bonus podcasts every week, ad-free shows, and access to our full archive. Otherwise, a like and subscribe is much appreciated. Thank you for watching.